Hello and welcome to another reading vlog. So for this week, I'm once again mood reading. I'm probably going to put more of an emphasis on the books that I did select, specifically for my TBR for June, because I haven't really knocked a lot of them off yet. So I would like to get a few more in the bag, so I'm not rushing at the end of the month to make sure I've gotten to them. I don't know what I'm going to pick up first. I'll have a look and see what I'm feeling. But today I am going on a date. So Bumble is very fast paced. Unlike Hinge, where I can just start a conversation with one person at a time that has liked my profile, with Bumble, you have to swipe to match. And then once you match with someone, you have 24 hours to start a conversation. Otherwise, you lose the match. So I made the rookie mistake on my first day of swiping a bunch of profiles, not realizing that the next day I would have 10 matches and I would have to talk to 10 people at the same time, which is overwhelming to say the least. I narrowed it down to 3. They're all men. I am going on dates with each of them over the next 3 days. And then hopefully I'll only like one person enough to go on a second date with, because I really don't like talking to multiple people at the same time. It is exhausting trying to remember what you've said to which person. I don't know how other people do it. I am a single task girly, but I am going on a date with one of them today. I've nicknamed him Too Sweet. If you want to hear more about it, it's in my other channels, Melbourne Diaries, but we're just going to get a coffee, go to the bookstore, maybe see a film, depending on my energy levels. So that's what I've got on for today. I don't know how much reading I'm going to get in with that. I'll probably be absolutely exhausted, and I have to do the obligatory post-date phone call to my best friend to talk all about it and figure it out, but I will see you guys when I return. Okay guys, so I've read some more books. Once again, I'm going to be quick because I'm going on another date tonight, this time with Mr. Byron. Okay, so I read Chlorine by Jade Song. This is basically about a very conceited, unlikable kid who is obsessed with becoming a mermaid and likes to tease her sapphic friend with her bloody tampons. Yes, you heard me right. Basically, you've got the main character named Ren Yu, and she likes to go her own way. And this, I don't know, I was expecting a lot more from this. You just see her slowly transform into a mermaid. You hear all about her inside monologuing. So there's a lot of inner monologuing in this. She's got her friend who has a thing for her, and she sometimes encourages that flirtation. There's a lot of gross stuff, like I said, with the bloody tampons. Her swimming coach is obviously a pedophile. I wanted to like this. I gave it 50% of the book, and I had to put it down because I didn't like the writing style and I didn't like Ren. It was doing nothing for me. It wasn't horror enough to be exciting in that way or thrillery enough, and I just didn't care. And I thought, this is what I'm going to do from now on, because I realized I've been missing an opportunity with this. But with books I DNF. I'm going to go to the end just so I can read the ending and know how it finishes, because I am kicking myself for not reading Earthlings, which is meant to have a phenomenal twist. And I didn't bother to read the end before I returned it to my library. So I read the end of this and I'm glad I didn't continue. But yeah, this just wasn't doing anything for me, so I did DNF it. And then I picked up Of Deeds Most Valiant by Sarah K.L. Wilson, and I had such high hopes for this one. This really sounded exciting to me. It went a different way. So basically you have a very stoic lady paladin with her dog slash demon slash mentor friend. Okay, I'll get back to that in a second. She then meets a dude who's sworn a vow of celibacy, and the two of them just tiptoe around each other basically throughout the whole book. I didn't read the whole book. I read 130 pages of this because this is a big boy, and that is all I could do. With the dog in question, it has both a demon possessing it and the soul of her former mentor, and you hear both the demon and the mentor's voices. They both talk to her. They're both fighting over the dog's body. So you've got 3 inner monologues. You've got, oh, that wasn't 3. That wasn't not 3 fingers. Three, or the German way. 3 inner monologues. The main chick, Victoriana, demon, dead mentor, and all 3 of them were so dry that no amount of shea butter could moisten them. The bickering between the paladin and the demon too was just so irritating and not entertaining. And I couldn't get into this at all. I gave it 130 pages and I thought, oh, I can't go on. And then I read the ending and I'm like, it's predictable. So This was a bit of a letdown. I had such high hopes for it. I really thought I was going to enjoy this, but everyone felt really meh, pretty much. And then you had the demon and the paladin guy that were just constant chatter, chit chat. So had to DNF that one as well. Then I picked up How to Fake It with a Fae by Amy Boyles. And I also didn't last long with this. So once again, gave this one probably 80 pages, less than the others. I like to give fantasy more, just so I can get my head around the magic system in the world. Basically, you've got a magicless witch that must marry to keep the magic in her bloodline. And naturally, she meets this very rude fae who has a vendetta against her family. So it's meant to be enemies to lovers. But I'm sorry, how many times must we be reminded that the FMC vomited on MMC's shoes? If you have a metaphobia, do not read this book, because it's brought up over and over and over and over again. And I didn't like that as an introduction anyway. It's a bit ick, but then we're reminded of it way too many damn times. At that point, I thought, okay, I'm going to separate myself out of this story. Look, this is very, what's the word for it? Not basic, but it's very light. So if you're just looking for a good flirty time, you'll probably enjoy this. It didn't have enough substance to me, and because I didn't like the characters and I hated the fact that they just couldn't get away from that opening scene, and it was gross. And look, it's one of those cases where they make the main guy really rude, you know? And I'm getting a bit over that, over the rude men. Like there's a line between enemy rude and then just bully dick rude, and I don't like the bully dick. I like the enemy, so this one wasn't for me, DNF'd. And then I started listening to Wundersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow. This is the second in the Nevermore series. It's a middle grade book by Jessica Townsend. And I listened to 3 hours of it, but I decided to DNF. This one is very heavily situated in the school, and I am aged out of reading about young kids in school. I can barely tolerate teens in school in fantasy settings, obviously. I can't do the young kids going to school and having mean teachers. It just bores me to tears. The opening of the book was really interesting. They introduced an angel character, and I was very fascinated by the introduction of these creatures and beings. But then, yeah, it went, all right, now she's off to school because she's a wundersmith and she's going with her team of selected chosen ones. And here's oh my God, what's her name? You know, the horrible, horrible character from Harry Potter. Here's a character like her. And I'm like, no, I've already done that. Been there, done that. Can't go back. So I did end up DNFing that. And you're probably thinking at this point, Chanel, are you going to actually read any books in full for this vlog? Yes, luckily I have. So the next book I picked up was Lightfall, The Dark Times. Let me go and get it. I've got it. So this is a middle grade graphic novel by Tim Probert. This is book 3 in the series. I'm going to just quickly flip through so you can see kind of the illustration style. Look at this. These really professional setup, right? Just stunning illustrations. I don't want to spoil anything. Let me go to the front. That would have been the smart thing to do. Just the coziest, most lush illustrations. I absolutely love the style of it and the vibes. Look, is this a bit of a filler book? Yes, it is. You learn a little bit more about what's going on, but it is mostly an in-between book. But I'm not mad about it. I still love the characters and I'm invested. I want to see what happens. And like I said, the illustration style is the main drawing point in this. But this was a 4.25 read for me. So far, this whole series has been 4 stars and up. And if you've got kids that are in middle grade, I think this is a fantastic graphic novel for them to read. The next book that I picked up is The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee. Look, I'll quickly surmise it. You've got a princess who wants to get away from her mean daddy, and then you've got a dickish commander of the rebellion, and the two meet while he's busting his friend or his sister out from the jail. She's there too. He's like, you may as well come with us, and then forces her to join the rebellion even though she don't wanna. I didn't like this. It's a bully romance. Okay, the guy was giving me the major ick. Their banter was not cute. It was just arguing and gross. So I had vibes and I thought, I'm going to read some reviews because I'm feeling a certain kind of way. And my feelings were validated. So there are issues with consent in this. And you know what I'm like when it comes to lovers? It has to be complete consent for me. If a woman says no, out loud, no, I don't want to, you shut that shit down. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna push through with this one. I can see, once again, this is probably going to be really popular, but I just find the writing for a lot of these fantasies is just very average, and the characters are just caricatures, and there's no real substance. So I don't know, like, I can't just consume romantasy for the sake of consuming romantasy. It has to actually have a good plot or good characters or an amazing romantic build-up tension. I'm sorry, there is a really cool bird outside. I don't know what it is. It's black and white, but it's not a magpie or a currawong, but that's so cool. But yeah, I think this must be another one of those like TikTok books. I don't know exactly because I don't have TikTok, but I have a feeling it's one of those ones that's like, oh, this is amazing, like Fourth Wing, which did nothing for me. But I know a lot of people love that. So I think I need to steer clear of anything that's probably blowing up on TikTok that's romantasy related, and just find my own stuff. And then we're getting to, okay, this book, The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. Okay, so I'm gonna have to try and explain this, but imagine Umbrella Academy, but a million times more fucked up. And then it's even more fucked up than that. This is intense. In the first chapter alone, you have multiple animal and human deaths. If you read the first chapter and you can't stomach it, do not continue. End of the road, my dudes. Just put the book down, run away. It is sickening. I have to say that. It has got every trigger imaginable, and you're probably like thinking, once again, Chanel, why did you keep reading? That's not like you. I don't know, man. It was just it just hooked me in. And I thought, I have to find out what is going on and how this ends, because for most of the book you are going to be confused. It is very confusing. Basically, you've got this group of children who had their parents massacred and were brought in to be tutored by father. And father is some kind of other non-human entity being thing who has a really messed up teaching style. He drives the lesson home in the worst way possible, but you best believe that his kids ain't going to forget it. They're not going to make that mistake again. So these children are just brutalized. And basically they're called librarians. They each have a catalogue that is their specialty. They're not allowed to learn any of the other kids' catalogues. They have to stick to their own subject. And they're all different. It's very hard to explain them all. But you have the main character, Carolyn, and hers is languages. And it's not just the languages of Earth, it's the languages of the animals, of galaxies, like all the languages that ever exist. And her daddy teaches her an awful soul-destroying lesson early on, and she decides to plot revenge and take daddy down. It's time to become a legitimate orphan. Like I said, this is full on. It does give a lot of Umbrella Academy vibes, like very much so, but just the darkest version of that possible. This destroyed me. It really did. It pulled me apart atom by atom. I'm giving it a 4.75 stars. I don't know. This is just a weird anomaly situation where, how did I stomach this? I guess I just did. My curiosity was just piqued too hard for me to back away. I had to get it satisfied, and it does satisfy it. I don't know. I don't feel like I should recommend this to people. It's basically, you're going to be traumatized, but it's really fucking interesting. So yeah, A Library at Mount Char. Probably one of the most messed up books I've ever read, but well done. And like every horrific thing that you're told does have a rhyme and reason to it. The father orchestrates everything for a purpose, but I'm just like, is that worth it though? Really, there was no other possible scenario solution that you could have gone that didn't involve harming this many people and animals? Like, really? Was that the only way? But I guess it was the only way. But it is not a happy story. So just putting that out there. But yeah, wow. Full on, my guys. After reading that book, I had to go and watch kitten videos because I needed to bleach my brain so that I wouldn't go to bed thinking about it. I did not want to take it to bed with me, and thank God I finished it in the middle of the day. So I achieved my goal. But yeah, that's crazy town. I will never read it again. Let's just put it that way. But 4.75 stars. So because I don't know, so I'm so sorry about the ring. I actually don't like ring lights, but it is almost nighttime now. So I need all the assistance I can get. So I didn't want to end the vlog with so many DNFs. I'd only actually read 2 books in full. I wanted to do a bit more than that. So I started reading my work by Olga, I want to say Rawn. I don't know how to pronounce this. The translator is Sophia Hersey Smith. So this is, it says Danish, Denmark, Scandinavian, Sweden, obviously from one of those countries, and it's about motherhood. And it's written in a very interesting way. All of the covers on this are also quite interesting. Oh, there's a cat in my garden. I'm like a dog, squirrel. And I don't know how I feel about it yet. The main character is definitely going through postpartum. Let's just say that. So look, I do tend to sometimes like books about mothers becoming unhinged and sort of not okay. So this will either go one or two ways. I'll really enjoy it or it'll be meh. I don't think I'll hate it because I am decent part of the way through and it still has my attention because like I said, the formatting is really interesting in this one. Depending on how that goes, I might add one more book for this vlog. We'll see, maybe not. But once I've read that, I'll let you know how it goes. So I'm going on a date today. This one is with Mr. Byron. Mr. Spider-Man has been eliminated. He told me the day before our date that something unexpected came up and he's no longer free to go on our afternoon date, and could I reschedule to a breakfast or a dinner date? I replied 20 minutes obviously after he'd sent the message. That's when I got it because I don't get notified for Bumble. I just go on every now and again. And I said, yeah, I can do the evening, which he replied with, oh, I'm sorry, I've already made rock climbing plans with friends. I was like, really, guy? And then he said, can you just do a work week, lunchtime, coffee situation? And I should have said no, but I was like, okay, we can do that. More than 24 hours later, he's like, hey, it would suit me the most on Wednesday. And I thought at this point, Mr. Too Sweet drove 4 hours in total to go on our date. This guy couldn't even keep to our originally planned date. He rescheduled me like 3 times basically. So I thought, yeah, no. He's obviously juggling, I think, a lot of women, and one that must have been higher up on his preference list must have been free at the time our date was. That's what it feels like. Honestly, my gut's saying that he bumped me to get someone better in. So I thought, nah, my time is precious and I want someone that's really into me. If they're going to end up being my husband or wife, I would have hoped that they would have been putting me up on the priority list. So he's out. So we've got Mr. Darcy today, and I have decided to give Mr. Too Sweet one more date just to make sure that there really is no chemistry there, because they've got so much else going on for them in terms of our compatibility. It's just I didn't feel a spark. But if there is, once again, just nothing there and I'm not wanting to like flirt or touch or anything, that'll be it for that. And then I'll probably go into hibernation again because this dating stuff is really exhausting and I just don't have the tank for it to keep on going non-stop. But I will touch base with you guys once I have read the final book for this vlog. Good morning. So I have finished some more books for this vlog with my work. It felt very claustrophobic, tedious, repetitive, exhausting. And I understand that that is quite often how motherhood feels like, but there was just nothing really impressing me about the book in terms of the writing, the character, the plot line, and there was no weird element to sort of surprise me and hook my attention. So it was feeling like a 3-star read, so I decided to DNF that one. The final book that I've picked up for this vlog is The Country Will Bring Us No Peace. This is a translated work by Mathieu Simard. And this book is basically about a sad couple, a dead town, and that bloody antennae. That was a piss poor attempt at a Canadian accent. No, I'm sorry. I had to give it a go. So this book is weird and odd and strange. The whole town, everything feels unsettling. It's in split POVs with the husband and wife. They've moved to this town to have a new start. They're trying to have a baby. So the synopsis of this book is that it's centered on grief. You're not really told what that grief is until later into the book. And my God, it hits you like a wrecking ball. I was crying so much. The author does such a great job at verbalizing this particular kind of grief. It really hit me in the feels. This book is touted as a thriller mystery, so you're thinking, oh, there's got to be something about this town. But I would say that's the weakest element of the book. It really is more about this couple and the grief that they're going through. To be honest, I felt like the town and the characters in it were a bit pointless. I don't really feel like they were necessary. I think that it would have been enough just to focus on this couple. But with that couple, I didn't care for the amount of times we were told that they like to lie to each other. I was like, okay, we get it. They're liars. we don't need to be told them. But that was a lie. But I lied to her. She knew it, but she wouldn't call me out on it. I'm like, okay, no, that's enough now. I was really enjoying it. However, the ending did not ring true for me for the characters and their motivations and the choices. It didn't make sense that they would choose to do that, especially considering a recent turn of events. I felt like the ending was just there for pure shock value. So that kind of annoyed me a little bit. So I did end up knocking the rating down to a 3.5 because there was a lot about this book that just didn't make sense. So yeah, it's a 3.5. I still enjoyed my time with it, but the way everything culminated felt messy and not authentic. So let's go through all of the books that I read for this vlog. We'll start with all of the DNFs. So we've got How to Fake It with a Fae, Of Deeds Most Valiant, which was probably the most disappointing because I thought I was really going to like that one. Chlorine, My Work, Wundersmith, which was just a case of I'm not the target audience, I'm a bit too old for it. Otherwise, it's a great middle grade book. And The Veiled Kingdom, which just felt like every single other romantasy out there. So let's talk about now the books that I did read in full. And to be honest, I did enjoy. The least rated one was The Country Will Bring Us No Peace with 3.5 stars. It had potential, but it just didn't execute it well. Lightfall, is it The Dark Times? I put the book away. That was a 4.25. I love that whole series. It's just so darling and sweet, and there's an actual decent storyline going on as well. And The Library at Mount Char just fucked me up, bro. 4.75. Don't think I could ever give a book like that 5 stars. It was so heavy. But it was well done for what it is. I will never ever read it again. And I recommend it so cautiously. So cautiously, like I said, read the first chapter. If it's too much, back away. But definitely a memorable read. So that was everything for this reading vlog. Until next time, stay wild, Star Child.